Here with reaction, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Lindsey, I know you and I have both been viewed as hawks, but if we don't learn from our mistakes and our successes, then we're doomed to repeat failure. Now, what happened in Afghanistan ended up being an unmitigated failure and a disaster. We can't be engaged in these foreign conflicts in perpetuity. Reagan showed us the way with the Mujahideen and with the freedom-fighting Contras. And I would argue Trump showed us with ISIS, Soleimani, and Baghdadi. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. President Trump said something today that I think was really smart. He said 100 years from now, they're going to look back at this time in history and wondering, what the hell were these people doing? What did you suggest? You suggest that the war criminal, Putin, who is murdering Ukrainian men, women, and children by the thousands now, should go. And that created controversy. I really don't care how he goes. I don't care if they turn him over to The Hague to be a war crimes trial, where he should be. They give him an early buyout, or somebody takes him out otherwise. You're right to want him to go. And to those who can't say that, what the hell's wrong with you? Why can't you say openly to the Russian people, you need to take care of this problem, Putin, for your own good? Your country will never go anywhere as long as he's your leader. And look what he's doing in Ukraine and throughout the world. So President Trump gave a 20-minute interview today that I wish every American could heard. It was the way to handle this problem. He says you can't let a guy with nuclear weapons dictate the world because he has nuclear weapons. We have a military too. Trump said if he threatened a nuclear exchange on his watch, he'd have submarines all around Russia saying you should not do that. Trump says we should give the MiGs and then some. Here's what I would say, that if Putin gets away with this, China will take Taiwan. And you worry about a new world order, President Biden? If we let the Ukrainian people down and Putin wins here, China will take Taiwan and Iran will get a nuclear weapon. But during this debacle called Ukraine, we're negotiating with the Iranians to give them a pathway to a bomb. So I miss President Trump. If you could listen to him today, please have him on your show. He would reassure you it does not have to be this way.
Well, he proved that it didn't have to be this way, and we had him on the show recently, and he said as much. There's a reason that the Taliban didn't kill an American around the last 18 months that he was president, and then they went on the march when Joe Biden was sworn in. That's called peace through strength. In terms of America's role, why would Joe Biden veto Poland giving MiGs to the Ukrainians so they can fight their own war? That seems like a mistake, too.
Because Putin owns Biden. Biden is afraid of escalation. He's afraid of making Putin mad. As the troops were building up around the Ukraine, Republicans and Democrats said, put sanctions on Putin for the provocation of a military buildup. Don't wait till the invasion. So here's two questions the world needs to ask and answer. There's going to be a NATO summit. Here's what I would say on your show to NATO. If there's a chemical weapons attack by the Russian military against the Ukrainian people, we should impose a no-fly zone immediately, because that's breaking all the rules that we've established since World War II. If Putin explodes a nuclear weapon inside of Ukraine, the radiation will affect most of Europe. We should consider that attack on NATO itself. So the one thing I've learned with bullies like Putin, if you're not clear, then they will assume you're weak. So nobody assumed Trump was weak. You know why Putin didn't invade Ukraine on Trump's watch? Because he didn't think he'd get away with it. Taiwan is looking at Ukraine as a dress rehearsal. This is the most dangerous time in world history since the 1930s. So I'm begging NATO to let Putin know what would happen if he used chemical weapons on the poor, suffering people of the Ukraine. We were to control the skies through NATO. If he launches a nuclear weapon, if he explodes a nuclear weapon in the Ukraine to scare us all away, we should say the radiation coming to NATO countries is an attack on NATO itself, and you're picking a fight with NATO.
Well, let's see what happens. This is what happens when you have a weak American president that projects nothing but weakness.
Yeah.
Senator Graham of South Carolina, thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.